Welcome to the viewers for the lecture in the subject structural analysis. This is lecture number 108. In lecture 107, we have introduced matrix methods, the general definitions, and also introduction to matrix flexibility method. I mean, we have introduced direct flexibility method, and in which I have introduced about the earlier lectures, lecture number 101 to 120, I mean 1 to 20, in which the derivation of the flexibility matrix for determinate structures is given. That is common for both the system approach as well as element approach. Therefore, derivation of flexibility matrix for determinate structures is given in lecture 2. So that I forgot to introduce. So when we go to my YouTube channel, lecture number 2 deals with the derivation of flexibility matrix for derivation or generation of flexibility matrices for determinate structures. That is common to both the earlier method as well as this method. That viewers can just go through lecture 2. And now we are going to introduce direct stiffness method. So here again, for generating stiffness matrices for determinate structures, it is given in lecture number 14. So that lecture is also common for the system approach and also element approach. Element approach already we have discussed. System approach we are going to do it now. So these two are common for both methods. Therefore, the viewers can go through lecture number 2 and lecture number 14 for generating flexibility and stiffness matrices for determinate structures. So this I have not introduced. Right. Now we have already introduced in lecture number 107. We have sufficient introduction or sufficient overview on the method or direct flexibility method, Right. Now, so this is the approach. Direct stiffness method is the approach. Now, stiffness matrix is otherwise called displacement method. Displacement method or equilibrium method. Equilibrium method. These are the other names for the stiffness method. Right. Now, why it is called a displacement method? Here, the displacements are the primary unknowns. The primary unknowns are the displacements. That is, finally we will be interested in getting the forces, I mean moments and shear forces, etc. But here we get the displacements first. From the displacement we get the forces, like in slope deflection method. Slope deflection method, the unknowns are thetas and deltas. So substituting the value of theta and delta in the slope deflection equation, we get the final moment. Same thing here. So the primary unknowns are the displacements. Therefore, the method is called displacement method. Also, we are going to make use of the principle of superposition of superposition of displacements here. Superposition displacements. That is why the method is called displacement method. Number one, primary unknowns. Number two, we are making use of principle of superposition of displacements. Right. We know what is superposition of forces. Now, what is superposition of displacements? So here again, for linear elastic structures, the principle of superposition of displacement can be used. Right. Now, as before, suppose if you want to analyze a structure, a continuous beam, a 3-span continuous beam, A, B, C, D. Now here, the possible displacements are, of course, we could have taken a statically determinate structure. Anyway, we have taken, nothing is a problem. You can take any example. It can be static, kinematically determinate or indeterminate, anything, no problem. Right. So theta, now here, as in the case of slope deflection method, this deals with the number of possible joint displacements. Number of possible joint displacements is called the kinematic or kinematic indeterminacy. So in the earlier method, we have dealt with kinematic indeterminacy. Kinematic indeterminacy. So this method deals with kinematic indeterminacy. So kinematic indeterminacy stands for the number of possible joint displacements. Now, as in the case of slope deflection method here, now in this problem, A is fixed, no displacement is possible. D is fixed, no displacement is possible. Theta B is one unknown and theta C is another unknown. These are the two possible displacements. Therefore, for this structure, the kinematic indeterminacy equal to 2. The flexibility method deals with the static indeterminacy. Stiffness method deals with the kinematic indeterminacy. So, the kinematic indeterminacy of the structure is 2. Therefore, the size of the stiffness matrix for this will be 2 by 2. 2 by 2. Right. Now, we are going to discuss the method later. We are concentrating on what is kinematic indeterminacy and what is principle of superposition of displacements. Now, for getting the 2 by 2 matrix K11, K12, K21, 2, 2, because it is 2 because the Ki equal to 2. Right. For getting this, instead of applying both, this is one coordinate, theta B is possible, coordinate number 1. This is another possible coordinate. There are two possible coordinates, theta B and theta C. So what we do is, first of all, we have to arrest the structure. We have to just make the structure kinematically determinate. That is, you fix this, also fix this. So this structure is called a kinematically determinate structure. Kinematically determinate structure. That is, we have arrested all the possible displacement. Such a structure is called constrained structure. Constrained structure or restrained structure. So this is another important definition. Like that of primary structure. Primary structure is a statically determinate structure in matrix flexibility method. Now here, the constrained structure is the kinematically determinate structure. That is, no possible displacement. Theta B is possible, you have arrested it. Theta C is possible, you have arrested it. No displacement is possible. Theta B 0, theta A, theta C, theta D, everything is 0. So this structure is called constrained structure or restrained structure. In the syllabus, this is given as a specific term in the matrix stiffness method, constrained structure. So constrained structure is a kinematically determinate structure in which all possible displacements are arrested. Right. Now, so for getting the stiffness matrix, what we have to do is allow the displacements one at a time. Apply the displacement one at a time. You arrest this, you allow this alone, theta b alone, get the first column of the matrix. Actually, we have started in a different order. I should have introduced what is stiffness matrix and then come to this. But anyway, having started, we'll just proceed and come back to the stiffness matrix. Right. So K1, apply unit displacement along coordinate 1 only. Find out the force. Find out the force along coordinate 1. Find out the force along coordinate 2. Then apply unit displacements only along coordinate 2. So this also you just arrest. Only one displacement you have to apply at a time. So here you apply the displacement. Find out the force causing, find out the force. So this will be the deflected shape. You allow theta c only and arrest all other displacements. Get the second column. K1 to K2. I think with this we will just. So we are applying one displacement at a time. And get the. So this is what is called the principle of superposition of displacements. You allow the displacement one at a time. And we have started a little early. Therefore, we will discuss stiffness coefficient and come back to this later. So that is why this method is called a displacement method. Either the primary unknowns or the displacements, and we are making use of the principle of superposition of displacements as discussed here. Right. So the other one, namely equilibrium method, is because we are using the equilibrium equation for the analysis. So the basic equilibrium equation that is used in matrix stiffness method is K, this is stiffness matrix, into U equal to F. This is the equilibrium equation. So this is the stiffness matrix. So this is the unknown displacements. This is the force vector. Left hand side displacement vector, right hand side force vector. Now, U equal to, these are the primary unknowns. U here, these are the primary unknowns. U equal to K inverse into F. K inverse into F. So K is the stiffness matrix. So these are the primary unknowns. Again, as I told earlier, the primary unknowns may be consisting of vertical displacement, axial displacement, rotation, twist, etc. So since we are using the equilibrium equation, equilibrium of forces. So this method is also called equilibrium method, because sometimes in the examination they will give, write down the compatibility equation that is used in the matrix flexibility method, denoting the notations. Write down the equilibrium equation that is used in matrix stiffness method. So these are all attractive questions for examiners about the basics only, about the basics. So these are all important. Alternate names for the different methods: the equilibrium equation, compatibility equation, principle of superposition of forces, principle of superposition of displacements, primary structure, constrained structure. These are all important basics. One has to be familiar. What is a flexibility coefficient? What is a stiffness coefficient? These are all important. Now, coming to the stiffness matrix, K will be consisting of K11, 12 up to K1n, K21, 22 up to K2n, and Kn1, N2 up to Knn. One more point before forgetting. Already we have discussed flexibility matrix. Now we are discussing stiffness matrix. Both matrices are symmetric. Both matrices are symmetric. This is very important point. Both matrices are symmetric. Earlier we have discussed Aij equal to Aji. In the matrix, suppose if you know A32, that will be equal to A23. If it is A42, it will be A24. That will be symmetric. The values will be same. And the leading diagonal values will be positive. The leading diagonal values will be positive. Leading diagonal values will be positive. So these are some of the properties that you have to understand. So the matrix is symmetric, and the leading diagonal values are positive. So that you have to, before forgetting, I want to tell you all these basics. Right. Then the flexibility matrix for a structure, if you know the flexibility matrix is A and the stiffness matrix K are inverse of each other. Inverse to each other. Because sometimes they will give you the flexibility matrix, they will ask you to find out the stiffness matrix. It is given in the GATE examination and other competitive examinations. So if they give the flexibility matrix, just invert the matrix inversion, one has to be familiar. Find out the stiffness matrix. If the stiffness matrix is given, find out the inverse of the stiffness matrix, you will get the flexibility matrix. So this is one point that I wanted to tell you before forgetting. Right. Now coming to the definition of the stiffness coefficient, you take anything, you take any coefficient. So this is called Kij in general. Kij is the stiffness coefficient. This is another attractive questions for the examiners, either in the examination or in the interview. Stiffness coefficient. Stiffness coefficient will be the force developed at coordinate I due to unit displacement at coordinate j. So this is not stopped here with the condition that no displacement occurs, except at coordinate j, except at coordinate j. So this is continued here. This is continued here. So you have to understand the meaning. So there is a difference between flexibility coefficient and stiffness coefficient. Stiffness coefficient gives you the force developed, because in the equation K into U equal to F, these are the forces. That is due to the external force. How to find out the F values we will discuss later. So that is due to the external forces. So these are also force terms. So you have to clearly distinguish now the equilibrium equation, the compatibility equation. The compatibility equation that we have discussed earlier, both left hand side and right hand side contains values of displacements. Now the equilibrium equation contains K values and also F values consisting of forces. There we have to find out the displacements primarily. Now here we have to find out the forces primarily. Right. Now K is Kij, the stiffness coefficient, is the force developed at coordinate I due to unit displacement at coordinate one at a time. You have to apply unit displacement, because displacements are unknowns. These are all not known. These are the unknowns. Therefore, when you find out the redundant values, you have to apply unit value of the displacements. Then these are the forces due to the unit displacements. Multiply by the displacement will give you F. That is the equilibrium equation. So these are forces, force terms, stiffness coefficient only, but these are the force terms, and here also force terms. Force terms, right. With the condition that no displacement occurs. So this is very important. With the condition that no displacement occurs except at the coordinate j. That means you have to apply only one displacement at a time. Now I will explain. Like here only, here also, here we have first allowed the displacement to be only. Then we have applied displacement into 2 only. So this is what you have to do. That will give you the definition for the stiffness coefficient better. I will just give one more example, one more simple example. Suppose you take a cantilever. Because here also, later I will explain that the size of the stiffness matrix K, in this case, it is a determinate structure. Suppose this contains 2 coordinates or 4 coordinates, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. In the case of determinate structures, now when there are 4 coordinates, right, we will be applying one displacement at a time, find out the K matrix. The size of the matrix will be K equal to 4 by 4 for this. If you add 2 more coordinates, if you add one coordinate here and another coordinate here, say let it is 5, let this is 6. You can add any number of coordinates, you can delete any number of coordinates as far as a determinate structure is. That depends upon, that is, they are the points where we want to apply the force and find out the displacement, or apply a known displacement, find out the corresponding force. Right, that can be increased, that can be decreased as far as a determinate structure is concerned. Right, now coming to stiffness matrix for kinematically indeterminate structures. Now we have discussed a 3-span continuous beam that was kinematically indeterminate to 2 degrees. So the kinematic indeterminacy decides the size of the matrix as far as kinematically indeterminate structures are concerned. Number of possible joint displacements, that will decide the size of the matrix for the indeterminate structures. For the determinate structures, that depends upon the number of coordinates that we assign. So these things one has to be clear. Now coming to a simple example for that of defining the stiffness coefficient better. Suppose there are 2 coordinates, coordinate 1, coordinate 2. Therefore, we have fixed only 2 coordinates. The size of the stiffness matrix will be 2 by 2. Now, what is the meaning of with the condition that no displacement occurs except at coordinate j? What is the meaning of this? Right. Now, we are going to make use of the principle of superposition of displacements. We are going to apply the displacements one at a time and add the effects. Right. And on the left hand side as well as on the right hand side, it consists of force terms. All these values are force terms only. Right. So what we do is, along coordinate 1, this is coordinate 1 direction, along that direction you apply unit displacement. Unit displacement. Find out the force causing the deformation. Here, the most important point here is, as per our discussion earlier, when a force is applied, this will be the deflected shape. This will be the deflected shape. This is the deflected shape. Forget about this one. This one, this is 2, right. Now, here you will have displacement as well as rotation. When you apply a unit force along coordinate 1, there will be displacement as well as rotation at the free end. Now, according to the definition of the stiffness coefficient, when you apply vertical displacement, you should not allow rotation. Therefore, when this is 1, this has to be horizontal, and again this has to be horizontal. You allow only vertical displacement and no rotation. That means you are going to treat this as a fixed end, because fixed end will not have any rotation. So when the right hand side, when you allow only vertical displacement, you know the forces developed will be, here it will be 6EI delta by L square, and here also it is 6EI delta by L square. Already we have learned, and delta equal to unity. Delta equal to unity. Therefore it is 6EI by L square. And here also it will be 6EI delta equal to unity, 6EI by L square. This already we know. Therefore, when you allow the vertical displacement, you should not allow rotation. Similarly, the displacement corresponding to coordinate 2 is rotation. So when you allow unit rotation, you should not allow displacement. Therefore, the displacement here will be 0, and you will have only rotation. And there will be no displacement at any other coordinate. So here also you allow rotation, and note that means you are going to treat this as supported. It is not supported, you have to treat it as supported. Here it is not fixed, you have to treat it as fixed. For getting these forces, then only you will be able to get these forces from what you studied earlier. So that is the meaning of with the condition that no displacement occurs except at j. If you allow displacement only along coordinate 1, there will be no displacement along coordinate number 2. When you allow rotation along displacement along coordinate 2, actually I should have marked it in the opposite direction, that is like this. Anyway, so this is treated as fixed. So this is the value. So that is the meaning of you have to allow only one displacement at a time. So now I think the definition for, and if this is the case, we know when theta equal to unity, when you allow unit rotation, you know the moment that is required is 4ei by L, that is 4ei by L, and the moment that is carried over here is 2ei by L. These are all basics. So from this you have to calculate the forces. So that is about the. So when there are two coordinates, the size of the matrix will be 2 by 2. So I think now the definition for the Kij, stiffness coefficient, is a force developed at coordinate I due to unit displacement at coordinate j with the condition that no displacement occurs except at coordinate j will be clear. So as I told, the size of the stiffness matrix for determinate structures depends upon the number of coordinates that we assign. We may be interested in 4 places or 5 places or 6 places. But coming to the indeterminate structures, kinematically indeterminate structures, the size of the stiffness matrix will be equal to the degree of kinematic indeterminacy. Because these are all gate questions only. The gate examination they will ask the size of the stiffness matrix depends upon. They will give 4 options. You have to tick kinematic indeterminacy. Similarly, the size of the flexibility matrix depends upon. They will give 4 options. That is decided by the static indeterminacy. So these are some of the items that you will have to be very confident. Right. And stiffness coefficient we have discussed, force vector we have discussed. So the displacement may be rotation or may be vertical settlement, that also we know. The basics 4ei by L, 2ei by L and 6ei delta by L square, those things will be required for application. Primary unknowns are displacements. So in the matrix flexibility method, we directly find out the forces, redundant forces. In the matrix stiffness method, we find out the displacements. They are the primary unknowns. Find out the displacements. From the displacements, you find out the forces. For getting the forces, we make use of the slope deflection equation, because the unknowns are slopes and the deflections. Once if we get the slope and the deflection, the forces can be obtained using the slope deflection equation, substituting in the slope deflection equation. And so the main point that is to be concentrated is in the equation for K into U equal to F. These are all forces for which we have discussed the basics just now. Then these are all forces. So from the given forces, how to get the force vector, we will discuss. So U will be the unknowns. U are the unknowns, U equal to K inverse into F. So once these values are calculated from the basics that we know already, we can get the displacements. Using the slope deflection equations, we can get the moments. I think that introduction will be sufficient for matrix stiffness method. And how to use this for statically, kinematically indeterminate structures, etc. we will discuss later. How to do it for continuous beams, analysis of continuous beams, analysis of frames, portal frames, and also pin jointed trusses, etc. we will discuss later. This is only just to give you an overview of the method. So first, earlier we have discussed the overview on flexibility method. In this lecture we have discussed overview of stiffness method. We will do numerical examples in the subsequent lectures, right? So thank you for your patience.